Hello and welcome back to Grim Survival and my squeaky chair. I'm not fixing it, and sorry about the lighting. I'm messing with things in here. I'm going to walk you through some preps. I'm just going to walk you through them. And go over a little bit of why I have what I have sitting here on the desk. Now this is geared to new preppers. This is for anybody who's just getting started in this. Maybe you've come out of a recent disaster down south. Maybe you've just woken up to it by watching what happened down there. And maybe you're realizing that, hey, maybe getting some extra stuff might be just a good idea. So anybody who's a seasoned veteran in this kind of a thing, you may want to disregard. Or stay, and maybe I have a couple ideas that you didn't think of. Maybe. Alright, so I'm going to get the camera flipped around. I'm going to get it set up over here. And yeah, this is the third video I'm recording in the same day that I'll post 3 different days. Just to give myself a break from this for just a little bit, because I'm in need of one. Very much so. So I'm going to get as much done in a single day as I possibly can, and I will move on from there. Alright, so let me get the camera turned around and I'll be back in a minute. Alright, welcome back. We are now looking at the desk. Well, part of the desk. And all the stuff sitting on it. I have a lot of stuff. So I'm going to go over in lists of what I would say is priority. Priority number 1 is going to be, as a new prepper, food and water. So let me move some stuff out of the way here, just so you can see what I got going on. Food. Peanut butter. Peanut butter is high in protein. It'll fill you. It lasts quite a long time. It's an awesome thing to prep. Now this has a shelf life of a couple years depending on where you get it. This one actually expired in the January of this year, and it's still not it's not expired. It's best by January 14th of 2021. I'm still eating it because there's nothing wrong with it. So those best by dates, just judge it for yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean it's no good. Keep that in mind. Canned food is obviously going to be a good way to go. This is just a little can of beef stew. This is a can of corned beef. Meat is going to be hard to find in the near future, according to everyone. Just basically saying it. According to everyone, if you've looked into the Great Reset that they're intending to do, they've outright said it. This is coming from world authorities that they're telling you you're going to be eating less meat. And if you look at the crop situation, the farm situation over the last 2 years, you might see why that's happening. If you have not seen that, I have videos from 2019 showing quite a bit of it. Food, food, more food. This is another jar of beef stew that we canned ourselves. This has been in the can for about 2 years now, maybe 2 years, going on 2 years. As you can see, there's nothing wrong with it. It looks perfectly well edible. There's onions, there's carrots, there's potatoes, and there's beef in there. This was pressure canned. There is one video we have online here on Grim Survival of pressure canning. Only one. I will probably do more of those videos in the near future. It's just finding time to do it is the most difficult part for me. Alright, water is going to be your next thing. Obviously this is a 40 pack of water from my local Costco store. There is 5.28 gallons of water in that 40 pack. 5 gallons of water is about 5 days worth of water for one person, according to the general rule. The general rule is 1 gallon of water per person per day. Do the math on how many gallons you'd need for a year, depending on how many people that's in your house. Obviously, if it's only one person, you need 365 gallons to get through a whole year. That's a lot of water. It's hard to store. It's hard to find places to put it. Don't recommend doing it in plastic bottles like this. I recommend doing it in larger containers. 55-gallon drums is your best bet. Setting up a rain catchment system is a pretty good idea. Yeah. The ability to sterilize water. There's a lot of different ways to sterilize water. You can do it with boiling. You can do it with a water filter like you see right here. Now this is a high-end water filter. This is a Sawyer S3 Select with a Sawyer squeeze filter on top of it. Now what this particular filter filters out is heavy metals, chemicals, pesticides, fluoride, and bacteria and viruses, if I got the list correctly. I have a review of this on my channel. Go check it out. Additionally, you can get things like the smaller one. This is the micro squeeze, but I do recommend the Sawyer Mini. You can find those at Walmart, generally around $20. Highly recommend those. I do not recommend Life Straws. I've seen so many failed tests of Life Straws that I would not trust it personally. So I do recommend Sawyer Minis. Okay, food and water. Going into one last food item I completely spaced. This is emergency food. That's a bucket of Mountain House meals, 32 servings it says, although a few of these aren't in here anymore because I've actually eaten one of them, and I keep a few of these in my bug out bag, a few of them. But yeah, for the most part, there's Mountain House freeze-dried meals in there. These are a 30-year shelf life, and when you buy them, they are expensive. They're expensive because of the 32-year shelf life. That's essentially what you're paying for with this, is the shelf life. So keep that in mind if you're purchasing something like this. This is not something I would do first. I would get my canned food and my dried goods stored away before I started doing anything like freeze-dried foods. It is highly recommended to have some of these on hand. It diversifies your food supply, makes it so you're not eating the same thing day after day after day. It would be a good morale booster to have food like that, and I do apologize for the squeaky chair. It just never shuts up. Okay, so we've gone over food, water. Your next priority is going to be medical supplies. Well, I guess medical supplies is a priority, but before we get there, let's talk a little bit about coffee. This is a coffee a subscriber sent to me. Actually, another YouTuber, Gray Man Prepping. Go check him out. He sent me this brick of coffee. There's 10 ounces in here. It's vacuum packed, and it's a solid brick of ground coffee. That's a good storage item right there. Gray Man, that's a storage item. Not for drinking. It's for storage. This is another thing of coffee. This I vacuum sealed myself. These are coffee beans. I do have the vacuum sealer thing sitting here. I think the pump's in here somewhere. Maybe it's not. Okay, the pump must be laying where I found the bags. So these are vacuum sealed bags. It has a little plastic pump. You push it up to that valve and you pump it by hand, and it sucks all the air out. These coffee beans have been in here for, I'd say, 2 to 3 months now. I don't remember exactly. And there's no air in there. It's a solid block. So these vacuum seal bags work really well. I do have I will probably post a link to this in the description, probably, so that you can find these on Amazon. I used to have them on an online store, but that store was closed, so I no longer sell them. But I can still find them and help you find them as well. All right, medical. Your general blowout kit, the number one cause of avoidable death. The number one cause of avoidable death is arterial bleeding. Tourniquet. Get a good, real tourniquet. A real one. Make sure it's actually a cat tourniquet. You can get these from NorthAmericanRescue.com. I do not recommend getting these from Amazon because there's so many fakes on Amazon, and the ones that are fake are really poor quality and won't help you that much. Get a real one. A cat tourniquet. This is the 7th gen. A cat 7 tourniquet is what this is. Additionally, to stop bleeding, stopping bleeding, quick clot. This is quick clot gauze. I do recommend quick clot sponges as well, but gauzes with a compressed bandage would work really well. Your basic first aid, obviously Band-Aids, and yeah, this has been opened. This was from Costco. They're all the same size, but hey, you can never go wrong with a Band-Aid for minor cuts and wounds. I would mix that with something like Neosporin or some kind of antibacterial cream or something like that to prevent infections. In the event of an SHTF scenario, it's going to be hard to find medical care. It's going to be hard. If they're not overworked, they're not there because they're taking care of their own families. So make sure that you have the ability to address anything minor on your own, anything major that you can slow it down until you can seek medical help. A lot of reasons that we store water, some people will tell you need to store 3 gallons per day per person. That is for cooking, for drinking and hydrating, and for sanitization. Take it from a truck driver or former truck driver, as I currently am. Baby wipes are sanitation. These are a 72 count of baby wipes. This one has not been opened. This is whatever brand it is, doesn't matter. I have a lot of baby wipes, not only because I have a toddler lurking around. I also, as a truck driver, these things are a good way to give yourself a quick bath, to be quite honest. If you are in a power out situation, grid down situation, you can take a baby wipe or two and wipe the essential areas and make yourself smell a lot better, essentially cleaning yourself. Slap on some deodorant and you're good to go. So baby wipes are an essential prep in my opinion. Also, they double as toilet paper, especially if you don't have running water. I don't recommend using your toilet if you don't have running water. It's a waste of water to be flushing a toilet when you could go dig a hole in your backyard and just rough it. Additionally, you can take a 5-gallon bucket, put a toilet seat on top of it, put trash bags or liners inside of it, and then you can use the restroom on the bucket. It catches it in the bag and you can then dispose of the waste. Baby wipes would be great for that, for keeping yourself clean and sanitary. And during the Civil War, so many people died due to unsanitary conditions. So that is definitely something you need to look into. Baby wipes are my #1 recommendation for keeping things sanitary on your person. And I'm not going to go too much into that because it's kind of nasty. All right, next up, I guess this goes along with medical. I kind of went out of order with this, but that's okay. Extra medications. And these are painkillers, obviously. These are anti-inflammatory fever reducers, also ibuprofen. I'm making sure I'm on camera there. And these are also a fever reducer and painkiller. Tylenol, these are basics. Everybody has the basics. This is that. That is what this is. I hope you can read it. I'm making sure I'm focused there. Where are you? There you are. That's what this is. The only ingredients is that. Exact. Look up what that is. It's an antibiotic. It's a broad spectrum antibiotic, which means it helps with respiratory infections, tooth infections, pretty much all infections. I recommend this. And you can find these from that brand, Chewy.com. Going along with the food, anybody who's storing vast amounts of rice and beans is going to have a vitamin deficiency. Get vitamins. Store vitamins. You should always be storing extra vitamins. Multivitamins are the way to go for this. You're going to be in a vitamin deficiency. You are. It's just a fact of life. If you're only eating the same foods every day, you're not getting all the nutrients you need. You're going to need a vitamin supplement. I highly recommend storing these. Additionally, things are going to start tasting bland, including your water. If you're drinking water all the time and you're not used to it, I am, because I drink coffee and water all the time. That's pretty much it. Every now and then I have some tea, but yeah. Water is going to start tasting bad to you, especially if you're having to filter it out of, say, puddles or streams or creeks or things like that outside of your house, lakes, whatever. If you're filtering that water, it'll have a residual taste of whatever else is in that water. It may be dead leaves, fish, mud, dirt. Even though the water's filtered and clean, it's still going to have a flavor to it. So coffee is a good way to get rid of that flavor or mask that flavor, but also there are flavoring packets you can buy. Just read the ingredients, because some of these things are really not good for you, especially the ones high content of sugar. They're not good for you whatsoever. All right, so the first recommendations: food, water, medical. Medication. Vitamins fall under food, in my opinion. Medication. The next thing I recommend is the ability to gather information. Now, you can see it over there in the corner behind the water. See if I can move it a little bit. That is my CB radio. It's hooked to the power supply under it. I'll do a review of the power supply eventually. I do recommend a CB as long as it has the capability of getting weather radio. That particular CB has FM radio, weather radio, and CB radio communications. My number one recommendation for communication or gathering information is a ham radio like this one. This is a Baofeng UV5R. Anybody who's watched my channel for a while will know exactly what this is because I show it constantly. This has the same features.
With a temperature of 49 at 1.
That's weather radio. Weather radio, this additionally you can pick up EMS and emergency broadcast. This also has an FM radio in it as well, and you will get more information and more use out of this than you will out of a base station CB. Just saying. So this is my number one recommendation. You do not need a license to own this. You do not need a license to listen to this. You do need a license to broadcast over most channels to this. Unless it's an emergency situation, then you can still do that. CB radio, same thing. You do not need a license at all for anything on a CB radio. You can talk, you can listen, you can do whatever you want. But you do not need a license to own these things. Keep that in mind because a lot of people put out misinformation like that. They do. I've seen it. All right, additionally, batteries. I found this for 20 bucks. This is 60 AA batteries. These are just standard. They're not rechargeable. These are Rayovac. Obviously, 10-year power guaranteed. Isn't that just nice? Made in the USA. I have used a few of these for my portable my portable handheld CB radio, so there are some missing. So that's why. But yeah, these are a great thing to have. Batteries. You need batteries for whatever you need that takes batteries. If you have a flashlight, make sure you have extra batteries for it. Try to get flashlights, if you have more than one, that are all the same so that they all take the same batteries, so you don't have to buy a bunch of different types of batteries. You can just buy one type and be done with it. Alright, batteries are good for many things. The ham radio I just showed you does take AA battery. Well, it doesn't take them, but you can buy a battery pack that does accept AA batteries. I recommend that. Greatly recommend that. Okay, batteries. Batteries, communication. Light. This is a miniature. This is a small one. Oil lamp. I have several of these. The other ones are much bigger than this. This is the little one I use for camping. This is an oil lamp. It takes... oil lamp oil. It's essentially clean burning kerosene, if I'm not mistaken, but it does accept kerosene, so it can be called a kerosene lantern as well. It's very dusty. And this thing will burn for a very long time. I filled it up and left it burning overnight at a campsite for more than 8 hours, and it was still a little under half full of oil after that. But these things will require new wicks after a while. Obviously, there's a wick in that one. Can you see it? So get extra wicks, make sure you have extra oil. The oil for these things will last quite a long time. I'm not sure the exact shelf life, but quite a long time. So go ahead and pick some up. Get oil, get wicks, get them stored, and you're good to go. Alright, one thing that's not there because it's too big. And like I said, you need the ability to sterilize water. You need the ability to heat and cook food or heat water. And one thing I have that I greatly recommend for that is going to be this. This is the Gas 1 butane stove. It says this is for outdoor use. I'm going to do an indoor test, but if you're doing these things, if you're burning things like this indoors, you should have a CO2 detector to make sure you're not killing yourself. So this is obviously a stove. It accepts butane cartridges that you order with it, or you can get adapters for this and it'll take the small propane canisters. You can get adapters to make it take the huge propane canisters. This thing is very nice to have. I've never used it. I will do a review on it after I test it thoroughly, but I know I've watched other reviews and other people that have tested it, so I trust that it works. And I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it's a Gas 1. You can find these on Amazon for about $30. Maybe it was $35. Something right around in there. $30, $35. Very good to have. Alright, last but not least. Where did I put it? I put it some... Okay, this isn't last because there's a couple of things. Well, I don't have the box of them sitting next to me because I forgot to grab it. I thought I did have it sitting here in this pile of stuff that's all the way around me at this point. but I'm not finding it. So, oh, here's some extra ones. That'll work. So, the ability to start fires. These are fire starters. I just picked them up the other day. I haven't reviewed them, tested them, or I've watched videos to see if they work. These are wax-infused cotton fire tinder plugs for all weather and all seasons. Twist, pull, spark, fire. You can hit it with a ferro rod. You can hit it with a lighter. Up to 4 minutes long burn time. That's typically enough time to start a fire. Convenient size is perfect for any fire kit, big or small. I'm going to test these and I'll tell you if I actually recommend them. I do recommend Fatwood. I have those videos up. Go check them out if you haven't done so already. Bic Lighters. I have a box around here somewhere with 25 of these in it. 25 of these. So Bic Lighters. This I don't recommend. This is a flint and steel. I do recommend candles. There is more fire starting material in here. This is wet fire. These I have tested. They work really well. They're not the easiest thing to find, but yeah, just to get it out of there. That is a flint, or that is a steel, and this is a piece of flint. It makes sparks. Don't recommend it at all. It takes specialized knowledge, really, and it's not the easiest thing to use. It takes a lot of practice. I recommend ferro rods after the Bic Lighters are starting to run out. But Bic Lighters, these are some mini Bics. I got these because I'm going to put together a small kit like this in an Altoids tin with a emergency survival kit for one of the bags that I have for one of the children. And yeah, so that's the basics of it. Some additional recommendations if you are in a grid down situation. Some things you might want to consider are board games, card games. This was sent to me by a subscriber. These are regular playing cards, but they also have interesting facts on the back of them, or on the face of all of these cards, so you can learn something while you're playing card games. There is a card game in here as well. I've already used it. It's very interesting to have, but I also recommend board games, you know, things that don't require power to keep yourself occupied and entertained in an SHTF situation. And believe me, I've been there. I lived in Texas during hurricanes and been without power for over 2 weeks. I know what it's like. It's boring. For the whole general thing about it, it's incredibly boring. So yeah, what we did was we played a lot of board games and card games that entire 2 weeks. It was boring, and I can't say that enough. It's just, yeah, boring. But yeah, anyway, I hope these recommendations helped you. There are a few other things I probably forgot, I meant to bring up, and I probably do forget them right now. I don't know. But this is the basics: food, water, medical, the ability to cook, clean, sterilize, start fire in case you need to stay warm, dry your clothes, sterilize water, whatever it is. Communication equipment so you can gather information. It's definitely highly recommended for the communication equipment to gather information. So, I know this video ran a little bit long. I hope this helps anybody new to prepping. One more thing, obviously, I want to encourage you never to forget, is a good fixed blade cutting tool. A good fixed blade cutting tool. Now this is not, you know, one that I would recommend as your primary, because this is tiny compared to most of them. So I do recommend a bigger one, but I do recommend brands like K-Bar, Becker, BK knives, SE knives. Good brands with a good reputation, so you know they're good solid blades. I could hammer this thing in a tree and stand on it. I guarantee you I could. I have no doubt about it. Comes with a Kydex sheath. You're going to need cutting tools that last a long time in any kind of SHTF or survival situation. Also cordage, but we can go over the 5 C's of survival in another video. Alright, there was a couple things I forgot and I want to mention just before I forget anyway, because I tend to forget things, obviously, is it's becoming spring very soon. We're expecting spring type weather here. I've already seen a couple of wasps, a mosquito, and a bee outside in the last 2 days. I've already seen it. So one thing I encourage you to get, especially in a grid down situation, bugs are going to run rampant, especially mosquitoes. West Nile is a real thing. It is a real disease that can greatly harm you. This is transmitted by mosquitoes. Get yourself a supply of things that fall of insect repellent. Now this is some stuff I'm testing. This is DEET free, all natural lemongrass oil, safe for kids, pets, but get whatever you want to get. I do have some of the high chemical stuff as well. You want to be able to keep the mosquitoes away from you. In a grid down situation, it's going to be very much needed. In grid down, water is going to go stagnant in several places. The pumps are going to stop working. You're going to see pooling water. It's going to go stagnant. It's going to breed mosquitoes. You're going to have a lot more mosquitoes. Get a way to keep them away from you. Get that. You're going to need it. You're going to be outside more in grid down anyway. You're not going to be able to run your air conditioners, your fans, things like this during the summer, during the spring. So you're going to be outside anyway. Get bug repellent. And last but not least, the one and biggest prep I recommend, and this is only for those of us who follow this type of thing. This is not for everybody because obviously everyone doesn't. And for me, get yourself right. Get a book and read it. It doesn't have to be this one, but I suggest that it says something about Bible on it or scriptures. Get one. Get more than one. It's going to be a very short time before they start making this illegal. They start censoring this as well. They've already done it in other countries. There are people being killed because of their beliefs in other countries. I highly recommend you store several of these because one is never enough. In survival, the general saying is 2 is 1, 1 is none. I have 3 of this one, and I have a bunch more that are different types of translations is the best way to say it. So yeah, that were the 2 things that I forgot to mention. Bug repellent was one of the big ones. Definitely bug repellent. You're going to need it very soon. Depending on your climate, you might already need it, or it might take a little while. But for where I'm at, we're already getting there. So anyway, this has been James with Grim Survival. Thank you for watching. I need a nap, and I'll see you next time.